Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this very important conversation. My name is Gabby C. I'm the political director for 1199 SCIU, United Healthcare Workers East, and I'm joined by two amazing women, Tiffany D. Lofton, who's a national director for the Youth and College Division for the NAACP, and Miss Melanie Campbell. She's the president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and the convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. Today, we are going to be talking about Black women in politics. And if there is any group of voters that know the power of voting and that know the power of turning out, it is us, it is Black women. Because when we go vote, we just don't go vote by ourselves. We take all of our sisters, all of our girlfriends, all of our sorors, all of the women that we go to church with, that we go to dinner with, that we go to brunch with. And so our power is so, so critical in this election, and even more so right now. We're a part of the national conversation. We're talking about Roe v. Wade. We're talking about systemic racism and inequality in our criminal justice system and our housing system. We're talking about the quality of life, and doing all this while we're still in the pandemic, where Black women continue to be on the front lines, whether they are caregivers or healthcare workers or grocery store workers or teachers. And so we're just like in a critical moment where our power is being shown every single day. And we're going to use that power to turn out in record numbers in this election. Ms. Melanie, I'm going to go to you first because, Tiffany and I, we walk in your
The youngest, right? Because I'm the young.
No, because we're not going to have this conversation without you talking to us, about what it means to have a Black woman on a presidential ticket. Like, just how does that feel for you, a person that has been doing this work for quite some time and bringing us all together to see, the culmination of so many years of work with having a Black woman like Senator Kamala Harris on the ticket?
Thank you, Gabby. It is just a delight to be on this conversation with these such powerful sisters. My sister Tiffany, I just watch you just continue to just go through the stratosphere and loving to see your leadership. But when it comes to Kamala Harris, I'm just going to speak personally. How it felt for me was just fully seen, right? Fully heard, felt not just empowered, but felt the power of what we can do as Black women. We decide to focus and own our power unapologetically, because it wasn't just that Vice President Biden just woke up and just said he was going to do it. It was also the voices of Black women from across generations, from all walks of life, who said, "Yeah, it's time. It's our time, and we earned it, right? We earning it every day." And so I think that was the response. And having so many Black women who were in consideration, again, across generations, I thought was it opens. And at the end of the day, this country is diverse. Personally, I was tired of looking at all white men, a whole all white ticket. Can I just be real about it? Like, okay, we've done too much work, too much. So we helped too many people get across the finish line. And a thank you is not enough. I remember, I know Higher Heights is a part with us on this, and within ACP, and you all leading this with OWN. And at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we earned it. So let's get this done. And so I think that for generations moving it, coming behind, this country is diverse. So there should be diverse tickets. It should be the norm, not the exception. So that's, I know it's a long answer to the question, but that's how I felt.
I think to you, Tiffany, just what are you hearing from, young Black women that, especially ones that might be voting for the first time, they haven't been in the trenches demanding this. They just have a Black woman on the ticket. What's the experience of young Black women, and what are you hearing from them on the college campuses and across the country?
Well, listen, with less than 2 weeks left, we're having a lot of conversations around the election. And I, for one, was a part of all of those Black spaces of dynamic, incredible, bold, intergenerational, multi-talented, outspoken women, like my big sister, Melanie, who I've known since I've lived in DC this entire time, who has shown the way, helped me build those relationships with other Black women, and also supported the work and dreams that I have to be a leader in this community. And so I want to appreciate Sister Melanie. It's so good to see you. I miss you because I haven't seen you in so long. But this is important, because the conversations that we have don't always allow us to come together and like celebrate each other. And in the practice that I have with my young people, we cannot afford to wait until after November 3rd to celebrate each other. So I just want to celebrate all the beautiful, Black, bold, like bald-headed women with glasses right now, because we are leading and on the front lines of this work. So this feels healing to me, and I really appreciate the space. Thank you for inviting me. I want to say this about what young women are saying. When I watched the debate for the very first time, both parties, I had a lot of personal emotions and triggers, right? Because what's happening on November 3rd is personal. It's not about a white man versus another white man. It is about our Black community. It is about all the protesters of young people over the summertime who are demanding police accountability and that Black lives matter. It is about the people who have lost their family members to COVID-19. It is about the schools that have shut down and that they can't reopen or have not given young people and students what they need. And more than ever, I think, at least in, I'm 31, at least in the season of work that I've been doing this for the last 12 years, I have never seen a stronger connection from protest to politics than I've seen in 2020. It is clear that when we say justice for Breonna Taylor, that means we need to also hold the Attorney General accountable. It is clear when we talk about voter suppression that we are talking about not just the Postal Service, but also all of the all the secretaries of states across the country who determine what happened with the elections. And young people magnificently are showing that we can make that connection and that it's not an either or when it comes to organizing and activism. And they're not showing that they want to wait until November 3rd to make those changes, right? They're saying, young Black women especially are saying, we want the change right now.
Yeah.
We go and vote on November 3rd, but we're also going to fight for the change right now. And then after November 3rd, we're still going to be protesting. We're still going to be posting. We're still going to be speaking up. We're still going to be organizing. We're still going to be moving people to our organizations to be a part of political homes so that they can build and foster their leadership. And so I am excited that over 47 million people have already voted. That's huge for us this time around in the election. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the nation thanking all of the young Black women across the country who did all of this really hard work. Because to be honest, like Melanie said, I didn't have no faith in the white man to pick a vice president that was going to be Black and to break down the barriers and the walls. I had all the faith in us. And so if we continue to hold on to that faith in Black women, I know it'll lead us through the next couple of days.
For sure. And, I was like you, prepared for us not to have a Black woman on the ticket. I was completely prepared for every scenario other than having someone that looked like me there. And what's crazy is that we have to have those moments of preparation as Black women all the time. Like, we always have to think about how we are going to adjust our perspective, our approach, our plans to fit whatever is going on. We are the true get in where you fit in people, and always, always, always succeed within that. And Tiffany, you talked about how a lot of the organizing, like there's such a direct connection between organizing and electoral power, but the step after that and holding people accountable and pushing these policies, like, Ms. Melanie, how are we going to continue this after the election? How are we going to continue this momentum and enthusiasm, this record enthusiasm that we're seeing from Black women of every generation, every walk of life? How do we continue to channel that into the policy changes we need to see?
I think part of what's happened, and Tiffany, you just laid it out, right? Connecting the protest to the policy and the policy to the polls, right? And so that's there. So the agenda, there's no one Black agenda. I tell people there's no such thing. We're not monolith. We have several agendas, and the one that works for you, you're right. But then you always see some things that are very, very similar, right? So for us, I think the key is taking those agendas and going ahead and pushing these elected officials. Do we get everything we want? But I'm going to sure try, right? And so I think that's part of it. And so, and I know Tiffany knows, and she's been a part of Black Women's Roundtable. And Gabby, if you haven't, you got to come with us. We're virtual for a while, but we'll be back together once we have a power shift, as I say it that way, nonpartisanly speaking, right? But we know what the issues are already. And then being able to connect that and really be able to continue to push that. I said the thing that frustrated me most when we elected President Obama, we just didn't come together enough, though. I mean, and that's real, because we didn't quite know how to deal. We had dealt with having all white men all this time, and then we had this brother and all of the attacks on him and trying to find a balance. I was a part of that. So I know we, including me, made some mistakes that I may have pushed, not always pushed as hard as I needed to, because I'm like, man, they're going at this brother so bad, you know, and all of the mixed emotions about it. But, you know, we used to having a white man in office. So we knew, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, you only had one black man, right? So at the end of the day, we know how to push. We're gonna have to push harder. And, you know, depending on who ends up, which ticket wins, we know how to address that. And then we know for us, we know, and I know the NAACP and others, you know, we made those demands in the process. So take those issues, and you have other leaders. Was a movement for Black Lives has an agenda. You know, other folks. Now, some of these folks have showed up with these agendas at the last minute. I'm not quite sure what that's about.
You better tell them.
You better make it clear, Miss Melanie.
Right, Black women have been leading. Let me slow down, because you know I'm Baptist / AME. I'll get to preaching without a license.
Listen, Miss Melanie, I have not one but 2 Pentecostal pastors for parents, and so if you want to start church, we could get that going as soon as you like. But you know, speaking of church and just things that have always grounded us, you know, we are 2 weeks out from this election. And we're going to have a lot of work regardless of who wins on the other side of this campaign and other side of this election. We know that Black women need support in their workplaces, that we still don't have equal pay for equal work. We know that we need investment in our school systems and in our communities and in the jobs that we do. So with all the heaviness of everything that's ahead of us and everything that we've already done, I don't know about you all, I'll wake up exhausted every single morning. And I have to find ways to keep going. Like, how can we as Black women create the community that we're gonna need to continue this fight? Because we're gonna get tired. And the number one thing that happens to us is we get burnt out because we give so much and we work so hard. So what are some of your plans on how you're going to bring your sister friends together and continue to support each other, not just through the next 14 or the next 2 weeks, but even after, when we continue to push for all the policy changes and hold these elected officials accountable? Tiffany, how are you going to put some joy into this in some ways to make sure we sustain ourselves?
I mean, it starts like this, right? Like I said it when I opened up, it starts like this. It's not just we're having a conversation and preaching to the choir, right? This is us having a conversation with each other. And I feel like I'm not alone. I feel like even though I'm in the house by myself in the apartment, that I am working in solidarity with my sisters across the country, right? Who are doing really important work. That we can start a discussion by loving on each other, right? Like we did today. That we can text each other and see how we're doing and say, it's good to see you. Like even that level of affirmation is how Black women have always done organizing. It's how we've always supported and took care of each other and just checking in on each other. I think that's the basic first thing. And I don't want to ever act like Black women aren't experts at that, because that's what we do, right? And the second thing is we want to be able to honor and praise people through the process. You know, I was a track and field runner all through high school and college, and I ran the relay race. I was the third leg for the 4x4. And my coach had 2 major rules. 1, do not drop the baton. And number 2, you don't ever slow down before you cross the finish line. And as a runner, sometimes when I was running, I would get exhausted. And because I saw the line, I would slow down because I saw the line, right, that I was about to cross. But my coach used to punish us. He used to be like, oh, okay, you slow down, go do some more push-ups or go do some more walks with the weights. But if you sprint past with all the energy in good form, the finish line, then you can slow down. And so I've just made it a personal promise to Tiffany Dina Lofton that in less than 2 weeks, I'm going to get to slow down and take a real break. I know that we have so much work to do, no matter who not only wins in the White House, but across the country. Women's rights, women's choice, environmental justice, canceling student loan debt, affirmative action, all of that is on the ballot across the country. And so the work, it continues. So what we have to do is make a promise to ourselves and then hold each other accountable to make sure that we take the break after this. We have to rest, right? And then after we rest, we can come back and say, okay, cool, we're ready to rock and roll. But the more of us who do the work together, I think the less we'll feel like we are obligated to burn ourselves out. We need each other. And the more people that join us in the fight, the easier it's going to be to lift the load for all of us.
And Melanie, I'm going to go to you to close us out. I'm going to ask you a similar question. We're all organizers on this call, which means that we're always asking, for something. We know Black women are going to go out and vote. So that's not the ask that we have in this moment. What's your ask of Black women as we're, careening towards election day? We're going to have to do work on the other side of this. What do you think is the most important ask that we have of Black women in this moment, other than voting?
Well, Gabby, I think Tiffany really laid it out. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves as leaders and organizers. I'm one that I'm constantly learning how to do that. I don't think you ever stop learning how to do that, because Black women, we are told that we are the nurturers. We are the heads of, most of us are heads of our households, all these things, but we have to take care of ourselves. We have so much coming at us. And I've shared it publicly. I'll share it again every time I get a chance. I'm just getting over COVID-19. It hit my family, right? And knowing that whatever if you're not here, it doesn't matter, right? So being able to take care of ourselves as part of being a leader, part of being a good organizer, part of being a good sister, and as sisters and brothers, right? To be able to say, hey, you all right? And do a check-in. I try to do a check-in, inspiration. Every time I start a meeting, I want to do inspiration, do a check-in. You all right? How you doing? Before you get down to what's been, and when Tiffany, you talk about running the race, right? We in it's like, it's a journey. It's question is what you doing in your dash, right? I'm gonna do all I can do, but if I'm burnt out or I'm I'm off on the sidelines because I did too much, I've learned in the some decades I've been around. Folks will be like, oh, that was so terrible. Who gonna take her spot before the funeral? Okay, so you got to get real about, being able to take care and sustain ourselves so that we can really make sure that we are as effective as we can be, and be unapologetic about that.
That's right. Unapologetic. You heard it from our dean, our leader, Ms. Melanie Campbell, from the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. The number one thing that we can do as Black women is take care of ourselves. Thank you, Tiffany, the National Director for Youth and College Division of the NAACP. And I'm Gabby. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. It was so good. I can't wait to see you all in person.
And then I'm gonna give y'all it's so good to see my sisters.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate you all. Be safe.
You too.
You're on the other side of the winning line.
Yes, ma'am.
We there.
Okay.